But I don't know. Like it feels. This is the first time I've gone to the season thinking like this might be the start of the wheels coming off on it. But that's what you know. I hope for it every year, but I feel like I feel like it might be a chance that they have a little bit more of a down year this year. Then again, I didn't think they were gonna fucking win a Super Bowl last year, and they wound up doing that. So
Yeah, well, strange shit happens, I guess. They find a way every time. I'm not a fan either, but you can't deny that they're on their fucking game.
I think there's a certain level of, um, obviously, they have a really good coach, who is able to adapt a lot better than probably any other coach in history. But there's also what I feel a little bit of, um, the other teams kind of go in with a more defeated attitude sometimes, like they already kind of have it in the back of their mind like this is the Patriots, and they like suck into that lore and they don't seem to play as well.
Maybe.
Part of, obviously, like I said, I mean, part of it is the fact that you know they're able to they're able to swing some trades that personally I would just be like, why would you do that? Why would you fucking help? Why would you help that team if you're another GM? Because they always seem to win trades, in my opinion. And it's like, does he like have dirt on a bunch of the other GMs?
I don't think they make that many trades that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think many teams make trades at all. They just have the balls to actually make a trade.
Yeah.
They'll go out and trade for an Aqib Talib, where other teams just don't want to fucking wait until you drop him. No, give up a pick. Who gives a shit?
Right. Well,
who gives a shit if that fifth round pick is going to turn into anything? You know.
Yeah, you also have a little bit of that Golden State mentality where players will take less money to play for the Patriots because it's the Patriots. So
that's a myth.
It's a little bit more lucrative for guys to go and sign as free agents for the Patriots, in my opinion.
It hasn't been. That's a myth from a long time ago. When was the last really good player that took less money to go play there, other than Tom Brady?
I don't know.
They don't. It's this myth that because they had for a while, they had guys like Ocho Cinco. Like, okay, good, yeah, Ocho. So you got Ocho Cinco. Congrats. How'd that work out?
They have. I see a lot of the St. Louis Cardinals in them in terms of they must have one of the best scouting departments out there, because their ability to find like those 4th and 5th round picks, you're just like, what the fuck, man? Like nobody heard of this motherfucker, and you guys got him. Like St. Louis was, the Cardinals are the same way on that thing, where it's like, who the fuck is Lance Lynn? Where the hell did this guy come? And like one guy goes down.
They tend to focus their draft on colleges where they run pro style offenses. So Alabama guys, Rutgers guys, things like that. Yeah. So then they get to the pros and it's not culture shock.
No. I don't know. They definitely did not look very good in the Coney Ely trade, though.
No, but whatever.
That seems I mean, it's one thing, but I don't know what happened there. I don't know if he wasn't happy or if he's just that fucking washed up. He's too young to be done already, man.
Well, some guys just can't play at that level.
Yeah. He was good in Carolina.
Adelius Thomas was great in Baltimore. Couldn't play for shit in that system. You know?
Yeah. Oh, but Chris Hogan was mediocre everywhere, but now that he's with the Patriots, he's a 1st-round pick.
Well, it's hard to define a receiver as mediocre when you look at the guys who are throwing him the ball in Buffalo.
Yeah, it's that media frenzy around it where all of a sudden it's just like,
oh sure,
that's the thing that annoys me the most. It's just like I get it. It's a big market. You guys are a big market out there, so your sports, New York sports, Los Angeles sports, even though they don't fucking care about football, they're always going to dominate the news.
Dude, it's less, having lived here, I assure you, it's less about the market and more about the fact that they've got a history of winning now.
Yeah.
Because when they weren't winning shit, nobody was talking about the Patriots. They were blacked out because they
That's
couldn't
true.
sell out games. It's like anything else. When you have the Cowboys, nobody really cared until they started winning with Jimmy Johnson.
Right.
You know, for a long time.
Mm. That's why it's so funny where like there was all this talk of like, oh, Los Angeles is such a big market. We got to get a team in there. Oh no, we got to get 2 teams in there. Well, maybe try to get an actual good team in there.
Well, Chargers are pretty
First.
good.
Eh,
They
I
fix their
beg to differ.
defense. Their offense is good.
Their offense is always going to be good as long as fucking Derp Face is their quarterback. But yeah, I don't
Well, they
know.
got Keenan Allen back, and
That's true. Oh,
Yeah,
Melvin
Melvin.
Gordon too. I mean,
Melvin Gordon's a thing now.
he's a fucking beast. I was very happy. I wish, of course, that he would have fallen to the Green Bay Packers because
Yeah.
they don't have a running back to speak of. But I'm all for a Wisconsin Badger doing great. So
All right, we ready to go?
I guess so.
Since we've been live and we're killing your sports ball thing.
Someone would actually have to be watching. Oh, someone is watching. I'm sorry.
It's my wife.
Oh, okay. Well, then nobody's watching.
You're at the 48,000 rate?
Yes, I am, sir.
All right, cool.
Oh, hold on a second. Let me get this up and that up. And did I close it? Oh, what the fuck, you dumb motherfucker. There we go.
This is probably not getting put up till tomorrow. Just
I don't care. I'm so fucking tired, dude. I have a newborn. I haven't slept an entire night through. So
I've got
I'm
a
up
little
every
league
3
team
hours.
with fucking 16 kids on it, so you do the math on that.
There you go. So that's a lot of dicks. All right.
Screaming kids who don't want to listen.
Oh, I hear you. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, and 3, 2, 1, card. Welcome to the main event. It is episode 310 of the Rundown Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Troy. And with me is your other host, Jason.
Not Jason Jordan, just Jason.
No, not my black son.
Sort of like just Joe, just Jason.
That's right. It's just Jason. Yeah, that guy had a tremendous career. Hall of Famer, that's for sure.
So how about we talk a little news within the rundown before we get into the meat of the show and the week that was in the world of professional wrestling. For those of you who've been following us for a long time, and I guess before I get to that, let me give you the normal spiel. If you look over to the right-hand side of your screen on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to sign in, hit the chat box, and share your thoughts and opinions, because this will officially be the last week you will get to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, we have decided, due to scheduling issues, just availability, things of that nature, to give us a little more flexibility, we are going to abandon the YouTube live portion of our show. We're still going to deliver the Rundown podcast to iTunes and all your podcasting apps every week, hopefully. But to be able to schedule everything to be live at certain times every week is just becoming a little bit difficult, given everybody's real life and real world stuff. So at least for the time being, we are going to abandon the YouTube live chat every week, but rest assured, you will still be able to listen to the dulcet tones of Troy and myself and whomever else comes aboard every week, just by downloading, subscribing, and listening on iTunes or whatever podcast app you use.
That's right. That's right. So I blame you, Mike Smathers. If you were here more, maybe we'd make a little more effort. All right, so let's talk about this week in wrestling. And
we have a segment now.
Oh, that's right, we do.
It's true.
It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the Perfect 10. This is where you drop a little soundbite in there of Jason, of that guy that never shows up on SmackDown.
Now I not only have to do the drop, but I have to edit that out. So thanks for making more work for me, Troy.
That doesn't sound like some. So yeah, you can head on over right now and watch as Jason's wife tells us that the show went to shit. I agree. So I quit. Why? Anyways, so my Black Sun got to face off against John Cena in the opening match of Raw because he earned it. He earned it. You know, he lost a battle royal and he lost to Finn Balor, which means he gets a chance to take on the 16-time world champion John Cena.
Yeah, I mean, this was quite clearly what we've come to know as the Cena test. If you got a guy, if Vince wants to know if a guy has it, he puts him in the ring with Cena and lets Cena kind of give him some feedback. We've seen that work to the detriment of some people. We've seen it work to the success for some people. For my eye test, I thought Jason Jordan did really well in that match. There were a couple of moments where I was like, but by and large, overall, I thought he did a good job. I thought that when he went for his finisher there and Cena kind of rolled over, it looked a little botchy to me. I don't know if that was the plan, but other than that, I thought they had a really good, solid effort. I was impressed with what Jason Jordan brought to the table. I'd have liked to see for the crowd to get into it, maybe a few more really close near falls, false finishes, stuff like that. But all in all, Jason Jordan should be proud of his effort that night.
In terms of my Black Sun's in-ring work, there's never really been a question. He's always been a very good worker. He's gotten exponentially better over this past couple of months here. But the biggest thing with Jason Jordan is he right now lacks some of the promo skills, and that's not really his fault because he hasn't really had the opportunity to even cut many promos on NXT because he was kind of sparingly used and kind of sometimes used, sometimes not used. So that'll come a time too. But I mean, the kid's got an amazing look. You know, he's got a great physique. And if you watch the NXT, or if you listen to NXT Revisited or watching the old ones, he's a blue chipper. So, yeah.
So I've heard.
So, and that match segued us over to the fact that Roman Reigns has got a big dick but no balls.
Now, I gotta say, I enjoyed the shit out of this for a lot of reasons. And I think we kind of said last week it looked like Roman got sort of outshined by Cena. And this week I thought Roman was much more prepared. For example, and you sort of touched on it there, when Cena points out that he came out with his fly open, no wasted motion, Reigns right to, it's not open, I busted it. Big dog. And the fact that we can now use big dog as a euphemism for I got a giant cock is something I'm going to run with in real life. So
there you go.
I thank Roman Reigns for that quite a bit. Of course, then we got into the you'd be looking for that, that kind of stuff that we're just kind of used to seeing. But the back and forth promo was great. We said, or at least I said last week, I had a feeling that this week you would see kind of Roman be the victor. And I think that's how it played out when he basically said to Cena, all right, fine. You want to run your mouth? I don't want to run my mouth. Let's fight. And Cena kind of backed off.
It's amazing how last week, we both agreed that if they do talkie battles, Cena's going to win it. But if they do wrestling, Roman, that's his forte, and that's always been that's been the way that they pushed him now lately. Is Roman doesn't talk as much, and I'm glad that they finally figured out that he shouldn't, because his character at this point should be, fuck this, I'm gonna do my talking with my fist, and I'm gonna fist the fuck out of your face. But yeah, go. I mean, they're doing a good job on building this. I'm interested to see this match. And they're also doing a very good job of keeping these two guys apart while still having them interact with each other.
Yeah, the physicality, the not touching, I'm 100% in favor of that. I think it's just building more suspense. Again, we have a situation where we've never seen this before. This is special. And this is why I get on them when they take things away that could be special and give them away for no reason, as they did on SmackDown. But we'll get to that later. But yeah, all in all, I'm as excited for this match at No Mercy than I was for any match at WrestleMania or SummerSlam. So that should tell you something. This is, I don't know if it's the return of football, and this is kind of their way of combating that with a major, never before seen kind of angle. It'll be interesting to see what they do on Monday night, first time up this season against Monday Night Football. But all in all, I'm enjoying the shit out of this build.
Yeah, I also didn't realize that. Were they in Nebraska? I think they were in Nebraska. I didn't realize Nebraska loved John Cena so much because that was probably the most face pop he's gotten in a long time. Because there was very, very few boos in that audience. So I don't know if
Well,
it's just because they realized that putting John Cena up against Roman Reigns, I guess we got to cheer for one of them, or or what. But yeah, I think that they've built Roman Reigns into a very gray area, shades of gray character, and John Cena continues to be John Cena. So
yeah, I
good.
don't think either one of them has changed their character at all in this build. That's why I find it sort of fascinating to see how the crowd reacts as we go forward in this build and get to the big match that night, which is sort of shaping up to look like the main event of this show, even though we've got a Brock Lesnar title defense. Positioning wise, I'm curious to see what they do with it that night.
I am too because I could definitely see this being a main event. I'm not going to compare Roman Reigns to The Rock, but this does feel a little bit like Cena Rock, where you had two guys who are essentially faces, and The Rock was kind of playing up some heel things, but he was still The Rock, so people cheered him. Whereas Roman is, kind of on paper supposed to be a bit of a face, but obviously, like I said, he's much more he's not quite a tweener, but he's this kind of new era of superstar where his character isn't defined by I'm a good guy or a bad guy. His character is defined by his actions and his attitude and things like that. And I'm for one, I'm happy with it because this trying to fit him into a mold that he doesn't fit into wasn't working. And this is working because I'm much more interested in what's going on with Roman Reigns now that they've taken off the shackles of him a little bit.
Yeah, and I see the comparison. I've heard other people make it too. I mean, it's sort of a faulty comparison only because you look at every element that went into the Rock scene, and one of the big ones, of course, being that the Rock hadn't wrestled in what 7 years or something at that point. So there was that built-in antsiness to see him back in the ring and in a wrestling capacity. We don't have that with Roman because he wrestles all the time, so that's not there. And Roman's not the mic worker or have the charisma that The Rock does. So there's a lot of areas. I mean, it's Cena versus a Samoan guy, so I guess it's similar in that regard. But it doesn't have the year build. I mean, there are just so many elements that went into Cena and Rock that made that special that are just not here. But I get kind of where you're going with that.
Yeah, it's not about like the different things you said. It's more along the lines of how they're positioning both characters, as well as the fact that it is a little bit of a role reversal though from that one, because Cena was more of the I can beat you in the ring, and The Rock obviously is one of the greatest of all times on the mic. So
Right.
but so it's nice to see that kind of like a new transition, and this is going to be, I think, a really good torch passing if they decide to go that route, because Roman can take a loss to Cena and be fine.
Yeah.
So this is one of those matches where this could go either way, because
Right.
Roman beating Cena, he's probably going to be in the exact same position he was. Cena beating Roman, same position he was before too. So, but it's the fact that this is we don't know what's going to happen in it, and the fact that this has been entertaining, that is what makes me excited for it.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. And like the one thing I will say with the comparison to the Rock Cena thing is this wouldn't shock me if this is a multi-time event, if we have more than one match, if this is the lead in and then the rematch is at WrestleMania or something of that to that extent. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Going from big dogs to big cats, it's time for Sasha Banks. And poor little Sasha, she was just about to get what was coming to her and get her rematch. And then, of course, Nia Jax and Emma both requested a title shot. And because of the fact that Kurt Angle can be easily swayed, he concocted a Vince Russo-esque match to determine
Russo.
I meant to say Russo. A Vince Russo-esque match to determine who was going to face Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship. So it was Nia Jax and Emma versus Jeez, man, I'm not even drunk. Sasha and Alexa. And if Nia Jax or Emma won, this would be a four-way. Not in like the thing I dream about most nights, four-way, but in a four-way dance for the championship. And whoops, Emma and Nia Jax won. So first of all, we had this weirdness where Nia Jax was not given a title shot, even though she kind of looked like she was going to get it. And then suddenly now, oh, wait, no, you are. She is.
Well, during this match, I got to say, I went full big dog. But yeah, so basically, the premise behind this was Sasha has a contractually obligated rematch, but Nia held the belt up. So obviously she should get that shot instead. And oh yeah, Emma won a hashtag match. So yeah, that should definitely override a contractually obligated rematch. Yeah, the whole thing was vehicle to and the other three don't have to. I see no title change here. I see nothing that's standing out. I don't really understand, honestly, if Sasha's not going to win, why she's even in this match at this point. The character, I love Sasha. I'm unabashed Sasha Banks fan, but at this point, that character, there's nothing left there. They've stripped away anything that made it unique or credible.
Do you have anything on the news about the Four Horsewomen?
I did not.
Okay, let me pivot on this a little bit then, because
Sure.
part of the rumor that we've been getting is that because we're building up this Four Horsewomen of NXT versus Four Horsewomen of UFC, it sounds as if Sasha's going to be removed from the title picture. So it definitely does appear that she's not going to win this match. So you do feel like, why bother? Why wouldn't we have just had Sasha have her rematch on Raw and lose, and then you can move on from there if you're going to do this? Because otherwise, you're just throwing Sasha out there again to lose another title opportunity.
Yeah, and they actually built a little bit towards the horsewomen versus horsewomen angle this week with an exclusive kind of face-to-face involving all of them except Shayna Baszler and Sasha Banks. Now, in terms of that angle, first off, do we think they're going to rush it and get it in for Survivor Series at this point, sort of set up a 4-on-4? Because that would explain why we're seeing, all the Four Horsewomen basically being left out of any angles or storylines or championship situations, and leaving sort of the lesser competitors fighting for championships. But if that's the case, I have serious concerns that this match is going to be one of the most anticipated in history and probably one of the most to not live up to expectations. You're looking at Shayna Baszler is a tremendous in-ring competitor, and we'll talk about the Mae Young Classic in a little bit. But Ronda Rousey's not a wrestler. She's taken some classes, but she's still relatively early in this. She's greener than goose shit right now in terms of wrestling. Maria Shafir, she's married to Roddy, so I mean, maybe she's picked up some of it, but again, not fully trained as far as I know, and Jessamine Duke, as far as I know, has no training at all. So you're talking about 4 of the best female wrestlers in the world, and you're putting them in there with 3 out of 4 girls who, as far as we know, don't really know how to work. So I don't know how good that match could conceivably be.
Right. So you have to figure that it would be one where Shayna would have to do the majority of the work just to get this match to actually look halfway decent, because I mean, we know Ronda Rousey can do some judo takedowns, but can she sell? Can she take a bump? We don't fucking know. Jessamine Duke, same fucking question on that. Now, the other one, I forgot her name off the top of my head.
Marina Shafir.
Yeah, Shafir. She has had a couple of matches, so, but she, far too new to try to go up against 4 of the most tenured and women's wrestlers around, who are also incredibly good too. So it's when they had the dude who plays Arrow in a match, they had to make it a tag team match because they knew there's no way that this guy can handle it. You can't put 4 people with like a year of wrestling in between the 4 of them against 4 of the best women ever
Well, I guess we'll find out how good the NXT four horsewomen actually are if they can pull a good match out of them.
That is true. That is true. I think I'm with you on that. Survivor Series obviously would make the most sense, just considering the match type of it. You could do an elimination match on it, but yeah, I mean, just can you really build up for a year on this? Because I feel like you'd have to have the rest of them get into matches at some point in time just to kind of progress the storylines on things. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
We'll sit back and watch, but that's the only real excuse I can make for none of these four horsewomen of NXT, as it were, being involved in the main picture, because the women's division on both brands is really suffering, I think, as a result of it.
Yeah, I mean, Alexa is great, but Nia Jax can't really talk, and Emma isn't.
Alexa's great as a character. We're not getting any 5-star in rings from her.
Right,
let's be honest.
That's what I'm saying. Is as a character, Alexa can talk her way through most feuds.
Right.
Nia Jax cannot, and they have no fucking plans for Emma going forward here. This woman has become Alicia Fox at this point. They're gonna trot her out there when they can, because she's attractive and people like her, but there's no way she's getting a push for the title. So,
well, this is I read a stat. This is her first pay-per-view match since 2014.
Oh my gosh!
So you do the math on that one.
Yeah. Although I was very happy to see her show up on NXT, the most recent episode. and as I said in there, she was very smart, because she positioned herself to be right center on camera.
Oh,
because if you had watched the episode, they put the title belt on one of those little pedestals right up like that, and they trot the entire NXT roster out there, and she made sure to stand right behind the belt, because she knew that camera's going to be looking at that belt, and it's going to be looking at me too. And mind you, she has not shown up in an actual match yet, so it was a nice way to kind of be like, oh, who's that? And of course, she's wearing a nice low cut dress and everything like that. So, and
when Troy says NXT this week, he's talking about his NXT Revisited series, not the actual live broadcast of NXT this week.
Yes,
just to avoid confusion.
Yeah, because nobody watches that. No, go back and watch. I think it's August 27th. It's episode 132 is the most recent one that we did for episode 11 of NXT Revisited. I say we, but it was me.
Which I enjoyed very much, by the way. Nice to have it. Nice to have it back in the rotation.
Thank you. I do not have any backlog of episodes, so I hope that I can work up a couple of them. But it's very difficult with my life the way it is now. But we'll get there, because I still have to do Glow Stick too. So, but yeah, that's nice plug for some of my shows. All right, so moving on. Let's keep it on the women. Let's talk about the Mae Young tournament.
Big dog.
Yeah, big dog, and it all the way through this one. So
this could be a recurring theme, just so you know.
Oh, for sure. This I assume this episode is going to be called Big Dog. So the Mae Young tournament is down to the finals, and obviously, both of us knew who was going to be in the finals. Of this, because this was pre-tape, but
also because you told us all.
That's true, because I'm an asshole. On the 12th, we will get the actual Mae Young finals, and I believe it's live, right?
Yes, it is. It'll be live. Interestingly enough, apparently they are doing 205 Live on Tuesday night as well. So I don't know if it's going to occur before or after 205 Live, but that's going to be a real dead audience by the end of that show. So I sort of hope, for the women's sake, they go on after SmackDown. I would tape 205 Live first that night, maybe, but if you're talking about SmackDown ends at 8, it's on the West Coast, but still, your East Coast audience, SmackDown ends at 10, you get an hour 205 Live, now you're at 11, and probably another hour special. It's going to get real tough to keep a crowd, even granted that it's a streaming service, but I got to think there's got to be some sort of continue. Nobody cares about 205 Live anyway.
That's true. That's very true.
Now, have you caught up and watched all the episodes yet, or?
Fuck no. I'll get there. I'm getting there.
I finished them. I finished them today, so I'm up to current. So.
All right.
But
yes.
since I don't have to worry about spoilers with you, and by the way, I am going to get a little spoilery here. So if you have not seen the rest of the Mae Young Classic episodes, you might want to fast forward a little bit through the podcast here, as we are going to talk about some of the results and some of the competitors. I know you haven't seen it, obviously, but I can tell you, for me, there have been several standouts, several women that I've looked at and said, this person needs to be signed. This person needs to be a regular fixture in the women's division of NXT, or even one of the main shows. Some of them, particular Toni Storm, absolutely should be signed. This woman is electric personality in ring. She's got the looks. I don't know what they're growing over in fucking Australia with hot fucking female wrestlers.
New Zealand.
Toni Storm's Australian, I believe. I think
not,
you're thinking of Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai is not.
No, build from Australia, totally
Okay.
from New Zealand.
Okay,
So
whatever. That quarter of the world. But yeah, so she really stood out for me. There was another woman, Rhea Ripley, I believe. Really stood out for me. Very young, 20-year-old woman, but she looked very polished in the ring. I thought she put on very good matches. First time to really watch her in a format that was, long form. Mercedes Martinez has just been excellent. I've known of her, and we've known people who've worked with her. So I had no surprise that she was tremendous. Her match in the semifinals with Shayna Baszler was really hard-hitting, excellent, everything you could possibly ask for. Candice LeRae made a great showing for herself. Mia Yim did a good job. There were some women who did not do such a good job. I'm looking at you, Marty Bell. I'm looking at you, Aisha Raymond. I'm looking at now. Piper Niven also was great too. She played the powerhouse role excellently.
You're forgetting about one of my favorites, Jazzy Gabbert.
Yes, Jesse. I thought I mentioned her, but yeah, she was tremendous too. I think she definitely has a future somewhere in the roster as the monster that I think they want Nia Jax to be, but it just hasn't hit.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, the biggest problem I've had with it, well, there have been a few problems. One, and I think I mentioned this last week, nobody's working heel in this, really. There are a couple of girls that are portraying themselves as having an edge. Mercedes did a lot of that. Shayna's done a ton of that. But nobody's working the match as heel. It's basically just, good old-fashioned competition, which is fine, but I think those are aided when somebody's, very clearly a face, very clearly a heel. Mm-hmm. Very little action in the early rounds on the outside. That picked up in those later rounds, which those of you who haven't yet to watch it will see as that goes on. I gotta tell you, I was very excited. I had seen Kairi Hojo, Kairi Sane a few times in bits and pieces here and there, and I was not sure I'm sold on her. And she may end up winning it. She may. People compared her a lot to Asuka, and she's a lot smaller. She's not the physical force that Asuka is. Pirate gimmick to me is sort of hokey, sort of takes away from her. She takes a lot of punishment in her matches, which is fine. She sells well. 95-pound woman doing a spear just doesn't sell for me. Like I can't rationalize that as being an impactful move. The dive bomb elbow is okay. I think her second round match, she basically completely missed the girl and came down ass on her face almost.
I'm okay with that.
But yeah, I haven't been overly impressed with Kairi Sane yet, and I hope I am in the finals. I hope her and Baszler go out and tear it up. But for all the build, for all the hype, for all the this is the girl, this is the next thing. I haven't seen it yet.
People compare Kairi Sane to Asuka the same way that they compare Roman Reigns to The Rock, just because of where they're from. So,
wait, didn't you just do that earlier?
Yes, it did. And I feel like Kairi's getting a little bit of that ocean spray from the Cruiserweight Classic, where not Ocean Spray. Which one was that? Zack Sabre Jr. Sorry, Zack Sabre Jr. Where he was I always get him and fucking Ocean Spray mixed up in my head. Yeah,
I mean,
Zack.
Osprey.
Yes, that's. I'm gonna keep calling him Ocean Spray because that's it's funny.
I would just like to clarify for those people who didn't get the joke.
Yes, the joke is yes that his name is Osprey, but it sounds like Ocean Spray. The drink, not the phenomenon that happens in the ocean. Yeah, so I think that she's getting a little bit of the Zack Sabre Jr. aspect of it, where like this was a guy that everyone's like, he's gonna be fucking awesome, he's gonna be so great, and then having to change his style, you know, and to a little bit to accommodate the other guys and the WWE style of things, and the fact that he, you know, was essentially a limp dick through the whole thing. Kyrie, I think, has a lot of room to grow, and I think that it's going to take her a little bit more to come over to the WWE style of things, but I think she'll be fine because I think she's very talented. You know, Shayna Baszler should be a star as well. And you know, this tournament here has really done wonders. You know, much like NXT has done great things for a lot of the independent men, and we saw a lot of guys, you know, that we never thought we'd see in WWE, like, you know, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and guys like that. Now we're starting to see some women who we never thought we'd seen, you know, because the whole, it was always kind of a knock that, you know, tatted up women weren't going to get into the WWE. And then you've got Mercedes Martinez, who's got sleeves on both arms. You've got, you know, Ruby Riott, who's tatted up. You know, it's starting to kind of break through that barrier where, oh, it's not just girls who, you know, are completely unmarked or you know, are just gorgeous bombshells and stuff like that. It's women that, hey, you know, they've got these different aspects that before we never thought we'd see in the WWE that are now kind of coming over. You know,
and on that note, just another name that I don't want to overlook because I did forget to mention her, and she is a local talent from the area. Kimberly Abby Lace, also another great accounting for herself in this tournament. Also another tattooed girl who doesn't fit your normal mold of a WWE girl. So I just wanted to throw a shout out to her too.
Yeah. You know, Abby Laith is another one of those ones where, you know, yes, she's incredibly fit. You know, she is an attractive woman. Okay.
You haven't watched the Mae Young Classic yet.
Okay. The last time I saw her, she was in good shape.
She still puts me to shame, but compared to some of the other girls, she's, you know, if you were to look at her, I have no problem. I think she's gorgeous. I think she's in great shape. But I can see Kevin Dunn and Vince McMahon back there just ripping her apart. So
right. Plus, she also doesn't have that, like, oh my God, this woman is so beautiful type of face. She's attractive, but she's, I think, a little bit more kind of your down to earth attractive, you know. Whereas, you know, she's going to kind of stick out a little bit when you've got people like Alexa Bliss standing next to her, who is gorgeous in the face, you know. Right. But yeah, I mean, that's a good thing too, is, you know, we're starting to get a lot of these different things. And, you know, even women like Jazzy Gabbard, who I've been a fan of for a long time, back when she was alpha female, you know, she's definitely not the type that you would typically see. And if you would see somebody like her, you know, or they would typically be either like a joke or like Tamina Snuka. But she instead is treated as she should be, as this is a woman who, yes, she's beautiful, but she also is incredibly fucking dangerous because she's strong as hell, you know.
Right.
And that's what all we've really been asking for, you know, in terms of the women, is we want differences in versatility, because that's what we have in the men, you know. We don't have an entire locker room of Rybacks and John Cena's for the men, you know. Bray Wyatt is employed still. So, you know, we want it to be that women can show up. Like, Asuka doesn't have a six-pack abs, you know, like Becky Lynch does. But
well, Becky doesn't show them, so you wouldn't know it if you didn't Google pictures of her.
Becky and Brooke too. Now, we can sit there and turn around and say, oh, they should show off their abs. But at the same account, we should be like, wow, they're getting over and they're doing great without having to show off it. Yeah, not so much. But, you know, Becky doesn't have to go out there and wear a bikini top to show off her abs just to get over, you know. So the fact that she doesn't is like, oh, now she's got this whole other thing, you know. So yeah, I think that the tournament, like I said, I haven't been able to watch it yet, but I'm incredibly interested in. I will watch it as soon as I have time. It just pissed off that I haven't been able to. But yeah, I think this is great. I think that there was a good amount of us who were kind of going into this going, oh, there's so many great women out there that they didn't sign for this, and who's this and who's this. And yes, obviously, like you said, there were some stinkers. Barty Bell, I don't even have to watch the match to know that was a fucking idiot idea to sign her, because she's never been good in my opinion. And you think of long-standing women like cheerleader Melissa, someone who, hey, she's great. Give her, if she's going to go in the first round, that's fine. Just give her a little bit of a,
I signed with Lucha Underground. I don't think she could appear.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, but there are other women out there who were available that I think a lot of people were going, oh, what about this one? About this one? And it was like, well, this is the people that we got, and we should be happy that we got 32 because this was originally going to be 16. So let's just be happy about that.
Like I said, though, I can think of a lot of women I think deserved a spot and would have been more deserving than some of the girls who got there. One of the ones I found interesting was Bianca Belair. I wasn't a huge fan of her in her first round match, but then she had her second round match with, oh God, I'm blanking who it was. Was it Kyrie, maybe? It might have been Kyrie. And I was a much bigger fan of her in that. I don't like the notion of the whole whipping you with my hair thing. It seems kind of hokey to me. But all in all, I thought she did an excellent job for herself in that tournament.
Yeah. See, and then you can look at some of the people who were attached to this that didn't wind up showing up. Obviously Nixon Newell getting hurt. That was a shame because I think she's a tremendous wrestler. She'll be fine when she gets back. A couple of the alternatives, Nicole Matthews, I enjoy a lot. She's a Canadian wrestler. Deonna Purrazzo, kind of know what we are getting in her. And Barbie Hayden, I like as well. So it sucked that
I'd throw a vote out for another local talent, Mistress Belmont. I thought would have been great to get an opportunity in that.
Very much so. Yes. I don't know if the timing would have lined up, considering some of the personal that she's had, but yeah, that's another person I think that would have been really good too. And there's a lot of other people in Shimmer and Shine as well that I thought would have been really good too. I thought this, if it wasn't for Karma being signed, she's in Lucha again.
Who?
Karma. Awesome Kong.
No, she's on Lucha. I don't think she's working anywhere right now.
Oh, okay.
Maybe Japan.
I thought it would have been a good thing to have her come back, because we know, as far as I know, there was still that standing invitation of get your shit together and you can come back for us. I don't know.
If she did go back to TNA after that too, though. So.
Oh, that's true. That might have hurt her chances. Right. But Marty Bell was here, and she was a TNA knockout. So. And
it was at TNA. She after that, when she returned, she had the giant blowout with Rebby Sky in the locker room too. So.
Ooh, yeah, that's true. So probably not.
Yeah, not really. There was, who was the Jessica Havoc? I think she had a little bit of an issue when she was supposed to get signed, but supposedly that's sort of all blown over at this point. And
yeah,
she might have been another.
Yeah, and Jessica Havoc is another one of those people who obviously not your typical body type,
right?
And one that I think most people would kind of worry of. Oh, is she just going to be the next Bertha Faye? But I don't think that would have happened. I think she could potentially be really good. It really sucks that Allison Kay is signed to GFW, because I think that she definitely deserves to be in the WWE instead of that shit show over there.
Which sort of blows my mind, because they call her Sienna, but they still call her finisher the AK-47.
Yeah, it doesn't make any fucking sense. And then, of course, Cherry Bomb as well. Her being, what is she over there? Allison?
Allie.
But
she doesn't know how to wrestle.
What a fucking shit show, man. You're going to take one of the best independent women wrestlers and be like, she doesn't know how to wrestle.
We're going to talk a lot about GFW in the news segment, just a heads up. And we could sit here probably all night and name talented females who should have and could have been involved in this tournament. But of the ones we got, I think we got. I mean, we didn't even mention Shelly Martinez. She could have gotten a spot in there.
Oh my god!
I did that one just for you.
Well, too bad we didn't have a sexy star there.
She could have killed some people. But yeah, all in all, I thought that the presentation was great. I was a big fan, and it was just great to see that get the stage it had. Now, my question is, they're doing the live broadcast for the finals right after SmackDown. I don't know if they're doing it live in front of the SmackDown audience or if they're doing it going live from Full Sail. I have no idea. I haven't heard that yet. My concern is that the finals may die a slow death in front of the SmackDown crowd if the 205 Live is any indication. These are not people who bought tickets for the Mae Young Classic. They bought tickets to see John Cena and AJ Styles, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. They got a great reaction at Full Sail, but we've seen that with the cruiserweights. That doesn't necessarily translate.
Right. And I agree with you there. So what I'm hoping is that it's going to be live from the SmackDown taping, but they're going to be watching on the Titantron the live show in Full Sail.
That would be ideal, I think.
we not take you after SmackDown to the audience from SmackDown watching Full Sail on the Titantron for the live Mae Young Classic. Yeah, I'm with you because I don't think that you cannot do that in front of a big arena crowd because nobody's gonna know who the fuck these people are. Not enough people are watching this on the network for them to go, and you're going to put it after having them watch 3 hours of wrestling that's pre-show, or dark matches, including SmackDown, and potentially more if you throw 205 Live before it. So,
yeah, exactly.
That's not a crowd that's going to then sit there and be like, oh, here's two people that were out in second round facing each other. I totally care about this match. Where is the fucking hot dog vendor? So, but we'll see. We'll see. We're not sure yet where it's going to happen, but we will definitely bring you the fallout from that next week. Right.
Not on YouTube though.
Not on YouTube because fuck YouTube. There's no money in it.
Although I will say this, for those of you who do consume the product or the medium you choose to listen to the shows on YouTube, we will be attempting to get the audio up there at least of the shows every week. So,
yeah.
Vamp 1 second.
Maybe we'll just find a fun little picture. I'm throwing it up there. Anyways, so let's round out our female talk so we can get back talking about dicks.
Sorry, big dog.
Yeah, big dog in it. Speaking of big dog, the big hog got dumped by Carmella.
Sort of.
And
then they got back together in a really creepy fashion.
Yeah, this is cringeworthy.
I loved this. You didn't like this? Oh man! All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Ellsworth has carved out a really good niche for himself. I've been interested in some of the stuff before. I don't want them to turn into an actual couple. I always thought this worked a lot better with Carmella, or Ellsworth thinking he had a girlfriend, and Carmella always kind of being like, "I'm not dating you. I'm with the big guy who just broke his knee." But
yeah, they just bought a house together.
Yeah, that's a mistake. In this market. But I mean, the one thing that Ellsworth has going for him is apparently he's got a giant big dog. So
according to Daniel Bryan.
And he would know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I just look at the women's usage on this. We've got a woman with a cat shirt as our champion.
Oh, she had cat ears on her way to the ring.
I know. I don't. This is why it's not in the perfect 10. We're not talking about it. All right. We didn't talk about it last week. We're not going to talk about it this week. We're not going to talk about that until after she loses that belt, because this is fucking ridiculous.
She's one of the best workers they have, Troy.
No, she's not.
That's what I keep hearing from everybody.
No. Yeah. You know what? No. Okay. No, she's not.
She's got a sharpshooter.
She's got a shit shooter because it's fucking shit. Like she obviously learned it from the fucking Rock, who also couldn't do a sharpshooter, but still tried to do it.
Agreed.
See, we've already spent more time talking about fucking cat lady who farts a lot than the fucking thing that we're actually supposed to be talking about, which is Carmella trying to get it on with a guy with no chin. That's gotta really suck. Like if she was sitting on his face, she would just keep sliding off and like hitting him in the neck. Like he must just keep getting like fucking hot dabs of asshole on his neck.
Oh God! See, this is what we've been missing the last couple of weeks, Troy.
Oh yeah. See, this was the problem. Was I was like, I'm gonna try to be the host, and I'm gonna try to do it like Adam, where I'm gonna be all professional and not dive into things like Carmella's asshole touching James Ellsworth Adam's apple. Instead, I was just like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, it didn't work for you. You got to be you, man.
I'm gonna be me. I have a Sal voicemail here. I got yelled at the last time I did a voicemail, so
Oh shit! I didn't even get to chime in on Carmelsworth.
yeah, I was moving on. But okay, go ahead.
See, I thought it was great. First off, I'm unabashedly a fan of Ellsworth in this role because it's something we've never seen before. A female heel wrestler with a male kind of mouthpiece manager. I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit with Whippleman, I was going to say, but not somebody who's an actual competitor, an in-ring person who's kind of put his own in-ring career on hold to kind of valet around a woman. This is the first time we've really seen that, to my recollection.
I don't know if I would consider him an in-ring worker.
He beat AJ Styles.
Yeah, who hasn't?
But in any event, yeah, so they did this whole angle where Ellsworth throws the Money in the Bank case in the ring in the middle of the match, like he's going to cash in for her, and she freaks out, basically calls him a piece of shit, and dumps him in the ring. He catches up to her backstage and begs for another chance, and she decides to shove her tongue down his throat. You gotta wonder how Cass felt about that, but you know what? Here's the thing, Troy. This left me wanting to know what's next. And there's not enough of that on these shows anymore, where you see something and you're like, well, where the fuck is this going? I don't get that very often. I got that from this. I enjoyed it and I'm happy for it. And good on them for giving them some time and a story and some character development.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean,
plus Big Dog.
Yeah, and the big hog. So all right, so I'm this is me now taking the time to
shit, we got to save this one for last. This is the best thing we have left on this list.
Oh,
go ahead.
You want me to save 5 for last?
Yeah, I was going to say that would probably be I mean, what else are we going to end with? We're going to end with Enzo.
All right. Okay. Hey, do you remember that dude who he kind of had the big beard, and he would wear like the bathrobe, and a lot of people liked him. They cheered him a lot. They so much so that he won a Money in the Bank. Remember that guy?
Yes.
Yeah. So does
he was Liberace, right?
Yep. So does Dolph Ziggler. And Dolph Ziggler thought, well, I could do that. So Dolph Ziggler is just, I'm going to steal people's gimmicks guy, but it's not funny or entertaining. Okay.
Again, I enjoyed this. I'll be in the minority on this one if I need to be. I thought when he came out dressed as Naomi and did the whole, I popped for that. I thought that was tremendous. I'm okay with this as long as it's not a recurring thing. I think you can get maybe one more week out of this, then you've got to do something else with the character. It's got to progress and evolve and turn into something. I'm okay with bitter, angry Dolph making fun of everybody else for a brief window of time. As long as it leads somewhere. I thought the segment was fairly well done, and I thought tremendous job by Corey as Ziggler's leaving to say, well, that was a disappointment, because I think that summed up a lot of people's feelings.
I think that sums up Dolph Ziggler's career at this point. That's a disappointment.
Fair enough.
The only thing going for Dolph Ziggler is the fact that he fucked Amy Schumer and her giant nipples. So, areolas, giant areolas. Sorry. But apparently, they broke up because he was too vigorous. So, not because he had the big dog.
Maybe
because he was too athletic. Yeah, we'll see. You know, it's a lot of wait and see on what's going to happen with it. And again, I mean, we talk about it a lot. It's very hard to get excited about anything Dolph Ziggler does at this point, just because of the past that he's had. And I want to. The guy is by all accounts someone who should be much better, but he's fucking this generation's Billy Gunn. You know, it's not working.
Ooh, that's a great comparison. I've never thought of that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we know what Ziggler can do in the ring. He can put on a great match, but I mean, this is kind of his ceiling at this point is mid-card goon. So, all right, what else do we got here?
I want to know who the fuck put Enzo on this list. Was that you?
This is the first time I opened this. You did this.
I didn't do the Enzo part. Somebody else did that shit.
Okay. We'll have to all right, we'll have to limit everyone else's access to this because I don't want to talk about it. So
yeah, I don't either. Although I will say this, the one thing I will say about Enzo this week is they're turning him heel. It's becoming very obvious that they're trying not so subtly. He's cheating on a regular basis, and to me that's a brilliant way to book him, only because we know athletically, technically, he can't keep up with these cruiserweights who are, by all accounts and by all rights, some of the best performers in the company when they're allowed to be what they are. So they've built in a storyline where Enzo's sort of cheating because he can't compete with them. So I think that's a very honest and real kind of cool way to build this angle with him and Neville.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when Crash Holly was in the hardcore division.
Sure.
Just like, I mean, he's a joke, but he's a multi-time champion now. So, and considering, you know, WWE's propensity to shift titles left and right, Enzo could be a multi-time champion by the time SummerSlam rolls around next year. So
you never ever know.
That is true. So I think we'll go with 10 here.
All right, let's do that.
All right. So
wait. Have we double reinforced the podcast? Because before we talk about this topic, we might need to double reinforce it.
I very, 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 very rarely put over something that I said in the host thread, but I was very proud of the fact that I did the math and figured out that Big Show and Braun Strowman weigh less than Men on a Mission. And Men on a Mission were in tag team matches. So there was 2 other motherfuckers in the ring with them.
Yeah, but they don't build rings like they used to, Trey.
That's true. Cheap Chinese knockoffs.
Yeah, these rings are not Big Dog anymore.
That's true. That's not. They're a Chihuahua.
Definitely. All right. Let me say this about this match, and I know I think I have an idea that you weren't a big fan of this one, but allow me to say this. Going into it, I was very prepared to hate everything about this. I do hate the fact that when I was a younger fan, steel cage matches were the bloody culmination of month-long feuds, and now it's just, hey, we got nothing to do. Let's throw these guys in a cage. I hate that. I hate Hell in a Cell not having a build to it. Yeah. I hate when you have a cage that needs a match instead of a match that needs a cage. I say that every year when we go into Hell in a Cell. I'll say it again in a few weeks when we start building the SmackDown Hell in a Cell and they stick fucking Nakamura and Orton in there for no reason. But I will say this. I thought they did an amazing job throughout the show of building to this and making it feel special and feel important. Up to and including interviewing the referee who was there when the ring collapsed, showing them reinforcing the ring, quote unquote. Everything they did to build into it, showing their history at various points. I thought they made this feel special. I thought they did a great job with it, and I actually found myself very much enjoying it. The match itself was good. There were little subtle intricacies, like when they went for the superplex off the top, the referee, John Cone, was grabbing shit for dear life, like he expected the ring to break again. And then you get to that thing where Big Show is so willing to put Strowman over. He allows Strowman to throw a mass over tea kettle into a steel cage, which is going to now break and fall to the floor. I just thought everything about this worked. I was prepared to hate it, and instead I found myself loving it.
I felt like the Chuck was a little bit of throwback to when Paul White debuted in the WWE.
Sure.
When he chucked Stone Cold onto the side of it, that swung it out and wound up winning the match.
Yeah,
I
but
will
he didn't
say-
throw Stone Cold upside down. Like to
That
me,
is true. That is true.
if that cage doesn't give like it's properly, that 500-pound motherfucker is going straight down on his neck.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a beard to cushion his blow anymore.
So that's giving yourself up to try to get somebody over.
Yeah.
I have tremendous respect for Show for that.
You know, we talk about it like you said with Hell in a Cell. We're waiting the couple of weeks before Hell in a Cell where inevitably someone's going to go, I'm going to get my payback and it's going to be hell. And you're like, okay, there we go. There it is. That's a Hell in a Cell match. But yeah, I'm with you on that, where it used to be that, you know, oh, okay, well, both guys have a win. Oh, they just keep fucking each other up. Oh, you know, he's attacking him in the back. The only way that we're going to settle this is by just, you know, bringing out the fucking steel cage. And this didn't even have a build to it until the show. And yes, they did a good job on the show building towards it. But these guys haven't interacted with each other in a couple of weeks. So for them to just be like, here they are in a cage match. But yeah, I was happy with the match. And, you know, by all accounts, Show did a fantastic job of putting Braun over.
Mm-hmm.
And this also writes Show off, so because apparently he's a little injured, so he's going to go get a minor procedure done and get himself healthy again, hopefully, so he can come back for a retirement match. But otherwise, this might be the last time I see Big Show.
Could be.
Which you can do what you can say whatever you want about, you know, Big Show in the recent times, but Big Show was such a part of my childhood. You know, watching him on WCW as the Giant, watching him as a force to be reckoned with in WWE when he first started off.
Guy fell off a fucking building.
Yes, he did.
And if you want more details on that, I encourage you to go back and listen 2 episodes ago to Nitro Mania here on the Rundown podcast feed with Adam and Henry Hugepex, the Suplex Star and Human Duplex.
Yeah, make sure not to miss that, because otherwise then this past episode, you're going to be very confused when Lex Luger shows up out of the blue in that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a guy who, like I said, I mean, he has had a career that is Hall of Fame worthy, honestly, not just because of his size, but because of his accomplishments as well. And also just the longevity the guy's had, considering, you know, the pituitary disease that he had, you know, is one that typically takes guys very young if they don't take care of themselves. And he's done a tremendous job of getting in shape. Got really cheated out of a WrestleMania match because Shaq was too fat. And you know, now an injury might make it so that he might not want to put the time in to get himself back healthy and get himself back in the ring. But I hope he does, because I, for one, want to see him be able to go out in a retirement match, go out on his own accord here, because like I said, I mean, yeah, he's had some bad times, you know. Yeah, they've made him do some bad things. Yeah, he got really fat one time and he had to get sent to OVW. But the guy is a legend, I think, in the business. Not in like a Mount Rushmore kind of legend, but in a
he's a Hall of Famer.
The Hall of Famer, one of the best big guys we've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, this fucker used to do moonsaults, for those of you who didn't see him growing up. Yeah, and the reality is, for me, it's sort of sad in a way, because I feel like he's been one of the most misbooked talents of a very long period of time. I don't think they ever really booked him as the attraction he should have been, and sort of booked him as just another guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fitting that
Good.
Yeah, it's fitting that him and Kane were a tag team for a while, because they are 2 sides of the same coin on that one as well, because Kane was very mismanaged as well.
It's true. And if you go back, and there's websites where you can look at the list of people who have defeated Big Show, and it's sort of embarrassing.
It's a who's who gives a shit.
Akebono, Floyd Mayweather. I mean, just guys that have no business.
Yeah, but Floyd Mayweather beat him worse than Floyd Mayweather beat his last girlfriend. All right.
There you go. And to that end, Show's done all of it. Show's done everything the company's asked him to do. He's been a professional about everything, and hats off to him. If this was in fact the last ride, tip of the hat.
It was a great last match too, if it was. All right, so 8 or 9.
Let's go 8.
All right. I'm not going to allow you to say what you want to say on this. But what I will say is,
I'm gonna say it anyway. I
what
said it last
say,
week. I'll say it again. Kinshasa.
what I will say is, there's a handful of guys that you think of when you think of like the big signing. Okay, so Shinsuke Nakamura gets signed, and you're like, oh, the matches he's going to have. He's going to get a chance to face AJ Styles. He's going to get a chance to face John Cena. After you get through about like 15 of those guys, you think, oh yeah, he's also going to face Randy Orton. And then you're like, oh, that might be cool. That might be a cool build. Then all of a sudden you get a match card where it says, oh, hey, by the way, Orton's going to face Nakamura on SmackDown. And you're just like, oh, okay. So we're just going to have no build, no heat for this match. And we're going to take a 13-year veteran who, say what you will about him, a future Hall of Famer and
World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, and all around a very good talent in the ring. You're going to have him face Shinsuke Nakamura with no storyline, no build, nothing. At least
on free TV.
Shut up. At least with a lot of the other, SmackDown and Raw matches that we've been having, where it should happen in the pay-per-view, at least they were like part of a storyline.
Sure.
This was literally like they picked.
This was the same thing they did with Nakamura and Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Same thing they did with Nakamura and Cena. This is what they've done with Nakamura since he came out.
Yeah, and that's the problem, because why is it so hard for them to turn around and be like, Shinsuke Nakamura is going to face Luke Harper this week? That's fine.
Mike Bennett.
You get Shinsuke out there. Yeah. He's going to face Mike Bennett. We've got all this undercard talent that you could have Shinsuke go over just so you can start building the guy up, because obviously we don't have much of a storyline for him right now. And instead you're like, who's the top of the card in SmackDown? Oh, Randy Orton. You're going to face him this week. And it's just going to be like a normal match for you guys.
Now, I thought the match was good. I thought they worked well together. I thought there were some really nice things, including like when Nakamura gets his head in Randy's chest and starts mocking him, and Orton just grabs him by the neck and pulls him in for the DDT. Vintage Orton. I thought that was great. I thought the ending was a good sequence. I thought everything worked in the match. I liked it, and to his credit, Randy put him over clean, no problem, in the middle of the ring. And we're setting up for Jinder and Nakamura again at Hell in a Cell. I don't know if that's going to end up being the match in the cell, and we'll talk about the other candidate in just a moment. But I'm not particularly thrilled about the idea of Nakamura and Singh again. But it is what it is, and hopefully maybe this time they'll finally smarten up and get the belt off Jinder.
Yeah, as much as I appreciate Randy, I never want to see him in a Hell in a Cell match again. Because
you can't really put Jinder in a Hell in a Cell after he just came out of the Punjabi prison. So it's gonna have to be that other one that we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah, it's going to have to be. Oh, no, I mean, although lately they've been doing two, so I don't know. Maybe the tag team, maybe the women are going to be in there and waste that.
Well, you know what? Fuck it. Why wait to the pay-per-view? Just put the women in Hell in a Cell on free TV.
Hey, there you go. Stop calling it free TV. Because it's not. We're not. If it's on NBC, it's free TV. If it's on USA Network, you have to pay for cable for that. Stupid. The economics of television have changed, as have the way that we build things.
I think you're being semantical there. I think you know what we mean when we say free TV, but
no, I know exactly what you mean. You mean, oh, it's going to be on the pay-per-view, but we don't build for pay-per-views anymore because this is the new WWE. Anyways, speaking of, we have a special pay-per-view next week. Oh, wait, never mind. It's a SmackDown. As the tag titles, U.S. title, no Women's Championship will be on the line, and Vincio? I don't think. Oh,
Vince is on the show.
Vince McMahon will be on the show because I guess this is the problem, is that you can't help but segue into the final one, this one, because the reason why Vince is going to be on the show is because Shane got suspended. So,
well, shit. Now you blew the last part. God damn it.
well, you put Vincio on there. I'm sorry.
Vince is appearing on the show. That's all I had to fucking say. We'll cover why later. Yeah, no, it's definitely to me this, and we saw this with what was it, the wild card special or something a few months back. I think when they get into that month period where Raw has a pay per view and they don't, they like to put a pay per view quality episode on. I appreciate that fact. It's also interesting because Raw is probably going to have a shit rating this week with Monday Night Football returning, so maybe they're trying to put all their eggs in the Tuesday night basket to draw the ratings there. But this is definitely a loaded show. You have the Usos and the New Day for the tag titles in a stipulation match. I want to say it was, what was it? No DQ, something like that. False count anywhere. One of those deals. That's what the Usos picked. Steel cage. I don't know. It was something.
Sucks a dick. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. But that's what they're doing this week. U.S. title. AJ Styles is going to defend against Ty Dillinger. I'm going to go on a limb and say Baron Corbin's going to get involved in that, but we'll see. Any chance I get to see Dillinger in a high-profile spot, I'm happy. And I think him and AJ are going to be really good in that match together. Of course, the women's title, we're going to have Crazy Cat Lady versus Naomi. I don't expect. But, hey, let's not blow out the idea of a cash in there because Carmella could find herself involved. That could be a spot where they do that.
Yeah, very much so. And at this point, I mean, they like to have big moments on these things. So that very well could be when we have the cash in, or could not. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, and it's funny too that if this doesn't beat Raw in the ratings, cancel the show because nobody's watching. Nobody's going to be fucking watching Monday Night Raw when you've got there's too many cross fans of both. You know, football fans and wrestling fans are, you know, a lot of people who are football wrestling fans are also football fans because, you know, they like big sweaty men. But
Johnny Knockout.
Yes, I know for sure. He's a big football fan. Loves the position of tight end.
Well, speaking of, there's no real good segue to this, but we have a return of the voicemail segment featuring our good buddy Sal, who is too busy watching the Patriots game to appear on the show tonight. So
he's definitely a big dog in it.
Let's start off with a big, mighty fuck you to Sal for not joining us on the show this week. And let's listen to the voicemail.
Oh, I wanted to finish my thought because I'm giving a mighty fuck you to Sal and Adam preemptively because it's not my fault. It's the fucking Google voicemail app that only lets you play these things through the Google voicemail app, which is super fucking quiet. So I apologize, but this is going to be probably as loud as it's going to get. So with that, here you go.
What's up, Rundown? It's Sal calling this week to talk to you about something that caught my interest on WWE SmackDown. Before I do, I don't want to forget to mention that somebody should probably change the voicemail greeting. It's still Adam, and it still talks about the Seth penalty. Nevertheless, SmackDown Live this week furthered the storyline with Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. And I would like to give them credit because Kevin Owens pretty much single-handedly raised a lot of people's interest in this program. You know, going into this program, nobody really wanted to see Kevin Owens versus Shane.
I did.
Other than the fact that Shane was probably going to fall off something tall. But Kevin Owens' performance last night on SmackDown was amazing. His promo work, him pushing Shane to the point of Shane snapping, and then Kevin Owens continued in the back where he's like, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue the whole WWE. Further on down the line, Shane comes out and says, your father called me, and the whole crowd's like, ooh. And you're suspended indefinitely? Perfect. I think it's perfect. I think when those two finally do have a match, whether it's a Hell in a Cell or if they want to wait a little bit, they can wait because having the storyline, quote-unquote, suspend Shane gives them as much time as they want. Anytime they want to actually do the match, it's going to be huge. And Kevin Owens is amazing. You know, nobody really wanted to see Kevin Owens work with Shane McMahon. He's got much bigger and better things ahead of him. But
I did.
every time Kevin Owens is given something, he makes it worthwhile. Talk to you guys later.
Allow me to first say, Sal, if you dislike the greeting on the voicemail, feel free to change it and, contribute something. Other than criticism.
Yeah. Also, he missed the best part of this entire thing, and that was when Owens said that Shane's family would be better off if he would have died.
I enjoyed that Shane came out and totally forgot his line. But absolute pro that he is, Kevin Owens goes off mic and kind of nudges him in the right direction. Sort of saves the segment. Tremendous, excellent job. Now, people have compared this to the Undertaker bit where it sort of comes out of nowhere with Shane and some top guy. But really, this is different because with the Undertaker, it sort of came out. There was an issue with Shane and Vince, and then all of a sudden, Vince, who's a heel, is using the Undertaker, who's a face. Like, that never made any sense. This is a case where the heel CEO or heel general manager, or whatever the fuck he is at this point, face general manager, gets into it with one of the top heel talents, and the heel talent pushes him and pushes him and pushes him and pushes him week after week after week after week until finally he crosses that line and he brings the guy's family into it and he can't take it anymore and he snaps and Shane just assaults him brutally. And to the point, and this was a great touch, I thought, Daniel Bryan coming out and trying to pull him off and freaking out, what are you doing? And I thought this was constructed. The segment later where Daniel Bryan calls him out, I thought was constructed beautifully. The end segment where Kevin Owens is all cocky and then is told Vince is coming. I thought everything they did with these guys on the show this week fucking worked.
And I don't know how you can say that this hasn't been building. This has been building since a Superstar shakeup when Shane made a trade not for Owens, but for the United States Championship. And Owens was just kind of attached to it. And these two have, kind of been back and forth. And obviously, if you watch our Dearly Departed Talking Smack, you would know that Owens and Shane have had run-ins on there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and the other part of it was even in the segment with Shane, he referenced Triple H basically handing Kevin Owens the title, which is officially more follow-up on that angle than we ever got on Raw. So
that is true. You were talking before about, contractually obligated rematches, but yet apparently Paul Heyman is really good at negotiating that out of contracts because nobody has ever gotten another shot at the Universal Championship after losing it. So
exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, it's, Sal said numerous times nobody wanted to see Shane and Owens. I did, because I think this is going to be a great match.
I do.
I did before we even got this, and this is just making it even hotter because Owens can do great work, and Shane is so likable as a dude that Owens attacking a guy who literally had his 3 children watch him almost die there's just so much fodder for it. And Shane's been in the company for so long, and he's done so much that Owens just has numerous different ways that he can go with this whole, with attacking Shane and everything like that. And Shane has legitimate beef against Owens too.
Yep, 100%. No, I'm all in on this. I think this is going to be great. We'll see if it ends up being in Hell in a Cell. I would hope not, in a way, because after Shane and The Undertaker, I don't know how you top Shane jumping off the top of the cage. Maybe a moonsault. I don't know, but I don't think I want to see it, whatever it is.
He's going to die.
But yeah, and Owens' style is much more in line with being able to pull a good match out of Shane because Owens is a brawler. He's not a technical wrestler, a high flyer like AJ Styles. So to me, this is a much better matchup on paper.
Yep. Agreed. And, we've got 2 weeks left before the pay-per-view, so it should be very, very interesting to see. And
2 weeks left before No Mercy. We've got quite a bit.
Yes, that's
before.
right. Yep. Sorry. Yep. No, that's right. No Mercy is the next one, not Hell in a Cell. So, yeah. Obviously, I think that this will probably be Hell in a Cell, but yeah, like you said, I mean, putting Shane in another Hell in a Cell, Owens is a lot more mobile, but what else are you gonna do? So, right. I guess with that, we're going to head on over the news desk.
All right, leading off the news this week, we've got several GFW-related things that have gone on in the last week or so. And let's start with the fact that GFW announced this week that Jeff Jarrett is taking an indefinite leave of absence from the company to focus on, quote, personal matters. It was noted in the announcement that Jarrett will be available to the company on a consultative basis as needed. The decision on Jarrett taking time off was made just hours before GFW posted the announcement on their website, as Jarrett posted an optimistic early morning tweet that indicated he knew nothing of the leave that was to be announced. PW Insider reports that Anthem's Ed Nordum made the decision and that he personally met with Jarrett in Nashville, Tennessee. Regarding what led to the leave, the feeling is that the unhappiness with Jarrett involving his erratic behavior was a driving factor in Nordum's decision. It appears they were not unhappy with the company's creative direction with Jarrett as chief creative officer. The situation had been building for months, and the final tipping point was AAA's Triple Mania event in Mexico in late August. Jarrett, who recently put on weight, was not in the best shape for the event and apparently stumbled down the ring steps right before wrestling in a battle royal for just a few minutes. He also took a while getting to the ring. Jarrett represented GFW in the match along with Moose, Bobby Lashley, and was reportedly heckling fans and throwing tortillas into the crowd, which is actually somewhat fit his gimmick in Mexico, but still had people talking. Jarrett's condition at Triple Mania led a lot of people wondering if he needed time off. Nordum witnessed the behavior as he was in attendance for the show. There was also an incident at a GFW TV taping several months back where Jarrett was yelling at Bob Ryder, and that incident is said to be the beginning of the problems that led to Nordum's decision. One source noted to PW Insider that the situation is, quote, far uglier than anyone realized. Another source noted to PW Insider that Jarrett was, quote, not blameless, but that there was also blame to be thrown in all directions of the company. The same source claimed that a lot of the things Jarrett had been publicly criticized for were just him towing the company line and following his marching orders out of loyalty to Anthem after they brought him back into the company, including when he defended Anthem in the beef with the Hardys. There's been a feeling among some that Jarrett has been trying hard to step in between Nordum and the wrestling side of the company due to the belief among many that Nordum didn't, quote, get the business. One source pointed out that the company put effort into bringing Alberto El Patron in as a surprise for his debut, only to have Nordum tweet a photo of Patron before he came out, spoiling the surprise. The source admitted that Jarrett needed a break, but noted that Jarrett had been bending over backwards to try and balance things between Anthem and GFW, adding that Jarrett, quote, desperately wanted his company back and wanted to prove to everyone that he was right all along with his vision. PW Insider also adds that no decision has been made regarding creative changes in the wrestling team, which Jarrett put together, and still includes Scott D'Amore and Dutch Mantell. Jim Cornette is also still with the company as of this writing, and there is speculation that Big John Gaborik, who still works with the company as a consultant, was retained as a backup plan in case the Jarrett regime did not work out. On a related note, a source reported to PW Insider that GFW Anthem merger was nowhere near as completed as they have touted publicly. Trademarks for Global Force Wrestling and GFW are still under the ownership of Global Force Wrestling LLC that Jarrett launched in 2014. It's possible that the GFW letters will disappear from Impact Wrestling if Jarrett doesn't return to the company for some reason. It was also reported that Alberto El Patron's status with the company is up in the air, as Nordum was willing to let him go after the Orlando airport incident with Page in July. Jarrett was hands-on in calming the situation, and now that Jarrett is gone and Patron reportedly has less than a year left on his deal, the planned return at the next set of tapings may be off. It's been discussed that Jarrett versus Patron was the plan for the Bound for Glory pay-per-view in November, but that match is probably not happening now.
Oh, shucks.
After Jarrett took his indefinite leave of absence, chief creative officer to focus on his, quote, personal matters, Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso reports that GFW's parent company, Anthem Sports and Entertainment, is ready to withdraw itself from the wrestling industry and sell GFW. Barrasso states that GFW is, quote, hemorrhaging funds, and Anthem needed to, quote, gut the Fight Network just to finance GFW. It was reported earlier this year that Anthem acquired the company after GFW's merger with TNA Impact Wrestling. Barrasso reports that since Jarrett still technically owns the name of Global Force Wrestling, Anthem would technically be selling Impact Wrestling. PW Insider also reports that multiple meetings were held Tuesday afternoon to discuss the future of GFW. Members of the roster were called to reassure them of the company's stability in the wake of Jarrett's announcement. But with the latest reports, it seems that Anthem is looking for suitors to get rid of GFW. Barrasso reports that among the potential suitors are WWE, Ring of Honor, and former TNA investor Billy Corrigan, also the current NWA owner. So now it'll be NWA Impact.
It all comes full circle.
Exactly. Despite the chaos, GFW held a conference call later in the week and announced plans to launch a global wrestling network, a multi-platform digital service designed to give fans around the world instant 24-hour access to the extensive GFW and Impact libraries. Plans to launch Impact Wrestling Channel on Pluto TV as a 24-hour live feed of content on the landing free over-the-top television service in the U.S. An extension with Pop TV in the U.S. to continue airing its flagship weekly show Impact on Thursday nights, and a new distribution deal with Seven Sports, the sport business unit of Pro Saban Sat 1 Group, to bring Impact back to screens in Germany, Australia, Switzerland via Ron Fighting. So that's a lot of stuff to go over. GFW, as per usual, Impact Wrestling, as per usual, in a complete state of flux. It seems like it's the same story no matter who takes control. Troy, how long do you think this thing can go?
I would have said 3 years ago this company was done. So the fact that it still exists, it's closer though, because they don't have the money from the panda, and now apparently they don't have the money from the owl. So they're running out of animals to shake down for some cash. Fucking Jeff Jarrett is 50. I didn't realize he was still wrestling, and he probably shouldn't be. So I think GFW could potentially go back to being Jeff Jarrett's virtual federation on his computer, or when he busts out his action figures and creates title matches there. Impact Wrestling still has the TV deal, and until they lose that TV deal, they're probably going to still exist. So, but I could definitely see them turning around, selling the company, or even gutting it, which is a shame because we say it every time. They have some really good talent there. We listed off a couple before, and if they go under, I don't think that whatever the fuck network is currently carrying them is going to fill that with another wrestling show. Mm-hmm. And that sucks because there are some good wrestling promotions that would be great on TV.
There's some great talents in Impact who will be very negatively impacted by this too.
Yeah, very much so. There's a couple of people who, is Trevor Lee really going to, do well if Impact goes away? I don't know. I mean, at this point, Bobby Lashley, there's not many indie promotions that are going to pay that dude that much money to come in there. I think
Lashley could always go back to WWE though. I think there's be a place for him there.
Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, there's a lot of other guys who have already burned those bridges. Or even signing with GFW have burned some bridges. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's who gives a shit about Jeff Jarrett? What happens with him? Who gives a shit what happens with Anthem Sports? What we in the Rundown care about is the workers, and mm-hmm. that's a whole bunch of production guys who lose their job. Yep. That's a whole bunch of behind the scenes guys. And there's a bunch of younger wrestlers who lose an opportunity to get some TV time. As well, get their name out there a little bit more, make a little money from on it. We don't want to see this thing go under, even though it is a shit show, and their booking is terrible, and they keep making dumb fucking choices with who runs the company. Fucking Jeff Jarrett's not the answer, and don't bring back Vince Russo. Don't have fucking Jim Cornette come in there because that's not what you want to do.
God damn.
Don't have fucking Pritchard. He ain't the answer either. It's you need to take this in a whole different direction, honestly.
Who's been the most successful with TNA as far as I'm concerned?
Who's that?
Billy fucking Corgan.
Yeah, no shit.
The guy they didn't want to take the company.
Yeah.
To me, that's the only time they had really anything. That was when the Broken Hardys. That was when Decay was on the top of their game. They had everything going in the right direction, and then they were just like, "Oh, well, we're fucking broke again, so we need to sell to somebody." Oh no, let's not sell to the Corrigan because he's actually doing a good job. But it's just the whole thing's been a shit show. Nordum's been a giant prick since taking over. Rebby Sky, if you want to go follow her on Twitter. something to the extent of, wow, I fucking owned that owl. But yeah, just tweeting all sorts of things, very happy at the demise. Shane Helms, was it KARRMAA? So, you know, a lot of people who were really pissed off at the way Jeff Jarrett ran things when he came back. All too happy to see this thing happen. So,
Yeah. But like we said, fuck those guys, because what really sucks is the you know, smaller people involved in it. A guy who's definitely not that small is Jeff Jarrett is listed at 235 pounds. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second.
that is this week's edition of How Much Does This Guy Weigh?
I was trying to work it in.
There you go. Big dog. JBL announced Friday night via Twitter that he's stepping away from his weekly broadcasting role on SmackDown Live to dedicate more time to at-risk youth and communities in Bermuda.
And fucking him in the ass.
And fuck American communities. He will continue his relationship with WWE by appearing on marquee events such as Tribute to the Troops and WrestleMania, because, ladies and gentlemen, even the announcers come back to take spots away from young talent. According to a report by Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated, this was planned out far in advance, even before the bullying accusations with Mauro Ranallo came to light. His decision to leave began 11 months ago when his contract expired last October. At that point, he put in his notice with the company. Barrasso noted, despite pressure from some of WWE's board of directors, Vince McMahon refused to fire JBL during Ranallo's exit, expecting that the story would eventually die down. And he was correct. While JBL was never punished for any of the alleged actions related to his bullying story, WWE was able to work things out with Ranallo, bringing him back into the fold in June as the lead NXT announcer. Another reason for JBL's departure was the travel. Despite WWE wanting to bring him in on Sunday before SmackDown Live, JBL began changing his travel day to Tuesday so he would arrive just in time for his duties related to commentating, and was then able to do this for 2 months before being confronted about it. WWE policy is to have everyone in town the night before a television event so that there is no last-minute issues, which meant that he had to be there Monday. Living in Bermuda, however, meant JBL had to fly on Sunday night to ensure that his connecting flights could get him to town the night before. Showing signs of simply being burned out from the travel, it was again noted that JBL's exit was his own decision. Are you going to miss JBL on SmackDown, Troy?
Fuck no.
Okay, didn't think so. Baron Corbin unsuccessfully cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase and then quickly losing to John Cena at SummerSlam had a lot of fans speculating on if he had backstage heat with company officials. Word now is that Corbin likely picked up heat after an incident at a talent meeting during the first week of August, according to PW Insider. There had been speculation that Corbin's heat was over a Twitter incident, but that is not said to be the case, as officials actually want their talent to be more interactive on social media. Regarding the incident in early August, Dr. Joseph Maroon had been brought in to talk with the roster about the importance of concussion-related injuries and why talent should immediately report injuries to WWE officials. During the meeting, Maroon reportedly brought up a recent study on deceased NFL players who had been diagnosed with CTE post-mortem. The way Maroon talked about the study reportedly, quote, downplayed it as being solid proof that anyone who played football would then develop CTE. Corbin, who played college football before a brief NFL career from 2009 to 2011, reportedly cut Maroon off and expressed an opinion that challenged the doctor. Multiple sources noted how Corbin argued that there would always be some form of head trauma, as football helmets are constantly cracking against each other during every play. Corbin also mentioned how he is part of a concussion-related lawsuit against the NFL and that he knew Maroon was against CTE. Corbin was apparently referring to how Maroon was portrayed in the 2015 Concussion movie starring Will Smith. This led to Maroon stating during the meeting that his depiction in the movie was incorrect. This would not be the first time that Maroon was forced to address his depiction in that movie. Maroon did agree with Corbin that CTE was a problem, but he was trying to make the point that the study did not mean 99% of NFL players had CTE, noting that people who have put things into proper perspective. Corbin and Maroon ended up going back and forth for several minutes as Corbin disagreed with Maroon's opinion. The incident between Corbin and Maroon was described as awkward, quote, time standing still, and an awkward moment that led to awkward laughter. It's also noted that this was not a case of Corbin being belligerent or yelling at Maroon, but a situation where where he was expressing his opinions at the wrong place and the wrong time. There's a feeling among one source that Corbin would have been better off pulling Maroon to the side for a private discussion after the meeting, so it would not take away from the matter at hand. There was also a feeling that Corbin hurt the flow of the meeting and took away from the importance of talent health by making a discussion about previous comments Maroon has made on the NFL, which put Maroon in a defensive position instead of educating. With that said, there were a few talents who were impressed by Corbin speaking out. While there's no confirmation that this incident forced officials to put the brakes on Corbin's push, the feeling among multiple insiders is that if anything, it led to a delayed push. This was it. PW Insider also points to Corbin remaining in the SmackDown main event scene, an indication that Maroon's incident isn't bringing any long-term lasting damage for Corbin. Maroon's the guy who's keeping Daniel Bryan out of the ring. So obviously he takes concussions at least somewhat seriously, right?
I mean, does he take them seriously? To an extent. And I guess the biggest problem here is I don't know why he is bringing up the NFL thing. It seemed a little like the guy's obviously defensive because of he had a bad time in the NFL because he was one of those guys who was like, no, CT is not that big of a problem in the NFL. So I'm not sure exactly why he was trying to bring it up, but here's the thing is they're still inconsistent in terms of like their head trauma because Randy Orton got his face fucking crushed in and was in a match like the next week. And we've seen it before that if you get a concussion in the WWE, you get your push taken away from you. So that's going to lead some guys to be like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm fine, and you've still got that kind of old school mentality. It's a little ridiculous that, Corbin's being punished for having a different opinion, but yeah, maybe he didn't handle himself properly. That might be, but I don't know. We weren't there. We don't know what was talked about. We don't know how it was, but this is the same guy that was already under fire due to the whole CM Punk blow up, already under fire because of the Daniel Bryan thing, because fans, think the opposite, that he's being too harsh on him, but then will think that he was, not taking CM Punk seriously enough. So the guy can't win, which is kind of sad. Because what is he supposed to do at this point? He was trying. I guess he was kind of going about it wrong too, because you can't sit there and be like, "Look, if you've got a concussion, come talk to me." But that whole like NFL thing, this thing doesn't mean that 99% of NFL players have concussions. No, just 99% of the dead people in the NFL have concussions. Why are you counteracting your point? You're like, here's my point. Concussions are a problem. Come talk to me. On that note, concussions aren't that big of a problem. NFL players are pussies. Like, you're going about that the wrong way, bro. So I don't think it's another one of those cases where neither guy sounds like they were in the right here.
Yeah, it's as usual. It's often, one guy or another, but somewhere in the middle, they're both being assholes. It was announced this week that former Ring of Honor star and New England Independent star Donovan Dijak has officially arrived at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando to begin training for the company. It has been noted that Dijak was set to work his last indie dates this past weekend after recently relocating to Florida. On a personal note, I was fortunate enough to work with Dijak when he was just kind of starting out in APW, when he was the Yugoslavian nobleman. And he's a great guy, tremendous talent, deserves everything he gets, and I can't be happier for him. Also, you got to wonder, maybe former Ring of Honor guy, maybe he eventually aligns himself with Adam Cole and Red Dragon.
Is he black?
Dijak? No.
Why do I think Dijak is black?
I don't know.
Weird.
Dijak's never been black as far as I know.
He's a big motherfucker, though, right?
He is huge, yes. He's about my size, and he does moonsaults and shit, so incredibly athletic.
So he's not your size.
What do you mean?
He's as big as you are wide?
I'll compare waistlines with you anytime you want, sir.
All right. Well, the only thing I can compare is what's lower than that.
Big dog.
Oh, but what you're saying is, Donovan Dijak, 6'7" motherfucker, 270 pounds, and Jason, 6'7" motherfucker, 269 pounds.
No, probably about 280. So,
Ooh, you're bigger than him.
sure.
Yeah.
You go look at the shape that guy's in. I'll take 10 pounds heavier. Thanks.
Yeah.
That
That was part 2 of how much does this guy weigh?
Yeah. Featuring your hosts. By the way, I'm assuming that 10 extra pounds is all penis anyway, because,
Yeah, that's true.
big dog. Nikki Bella is temporarily hanging up her wrestling boots for ballroom dancing shoes as she officially has joined the celebrity competitors on season 25 of Dancing with the Stars. Nikki will waltz into the ballroom with professional partner Artem, and I'm not even going to try to say this last name, who will also be dancing for his first Mirror Ball trophy. The official cast announcement was made Wednesday on Good Morning America. While Artem said that he hasn't experienced a Bella Buster yet, Nikki hasn't ruled it out, saying, quote, "I try to fight him every rehearsal." The show premieres Monday, September 18th at 8 p.m. on ABC. Season 25 celebrity cast also includes former NFL star Terrell Owens, Barbara Corcoran of Shark Tank, actor Frankie Muniz, and married entertainment personalities Nick and Vanessa Lachey. The Bella twin is the third WWE superstar to compete on Dancing with the Stars. Chris Jericho competed in season 12 in 2011 and was eliminated 5th out of the 11 contestants. Stacy Keibler competed in season 2 in 2006 and placed 3rd. So, is the presence of Nikki Bella on Dancing with the Stars enough to compel you to watch the show, Troy?
I didn't even watch when Chris Jericho was on. So that should tell you what you need to know.
Okay. And lastly, since The Undertaker's loss to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 33, Vince McMahon has told WWE announcers on multiple occasions to not reference the dead man too often. However, in recent weeks, there has been a reversal, and McMahon has told the announce team that it's now okay to acknowledge The Undertaker when it's called for. Roman Reigns has been drawing Undertaker chants from crowds aiming to taunt him, and it's clear that while The Undertaker is gone for now, he has not been forgotten. Not simply done out of the blue. In recent weeks, there has been communication between McMahon and The Undertaker that leads Vince to believe The Undertaker would consider wrestling at WrestleMania next year at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. While it's not a foregone conclusion, all previous conversations since WrestleMania 33 had left McMahon feeling that The Undertaker would never wrestle again until recently. McMahon now feels like The Undertaker is leaving the door open for a return. For this reason, those close to Vince are convinced it can't be a coincidence that he had a change of heart in terms of The Undertaker being mentioned on television. And an interesting note to tie this together, we talked recently about why are we doing this? Why are we having Cena and Reigns now instead of saving that for a WrestleMania type match? Maybe WrestleMania is already booked with Cena and The Undertaker.
Dun, dun, dun.
Would you be interested in seeing another Undertaker match at WrestleMania this year?
No. After the ending of what we got at WrestleMania, no, I don't ever want to see him at a WrestleMania again.
Okay, but let's post this theory. Perhaps that was the result of the bad hip surgery that he needed to have that he had afterwards, and now he's healed up and he's ready to go, and maybe you get a little bit better effort out of the Undertaker this time around.
I don't care about the effort. What I care about is the visual of him retiring.
Okay.
And that was great. I don't need to see him come back to the ring again and then attempt another like retirement whole thing. It that felt like such a great ending to his story. Was I'm gonna put my hat and my jacket in the middle of the ring. I'm going to descend into the depths of hell, or the fucking snack room underneath the arena there. And that was great. So do I want to see you got to remember, this is me. I've never been a huge fan of his matches.
Me neither.
But I think that was a perfect ending to his career. And I don't want to see him Ric Flair this shit, or
Fair
Mick
enough.
Foley this shit. So I think just be done with it. All
right, and last to close it out, just you mentioned him a second ago, big good thoughts to Ric Flair, who posted a video message to the social medias this weekend, basically saying that he's back, he's healthy, he's on his way back to the road to recovery, feeling good and looking to get ready to see the fans sooner than they would think, and did all this while wearing a shirt that said, "I ain't dead yet, motherfuckers," which apparently he's going to start selling. So good on Rick. Happy to see the Nature Boy recovering, and maybe we'll get to see him just walk that aisle, style and profile one more time, because you never know when an authority figure will be needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just don't get back in the ring, dude.
Agreed. I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
And that is going to do it for the news desk on this edition of The Rundown.
All right. Let's get in to some plugs. All right. Jason, what's going on at Liberty States Wrestling?
Well, Liberty States Wrestling presents Heard You Missed Us. We're back on Saturday, September 9th. That is this coming Saturday from the John E. McCarthy Elementary School in Peabody, Massachusetts. The main event, the Liberty States Heavyweight Wrestling Championship, will be defended as Christian Casanova puts the belt on the line against Dynamite Danny Miles. That is two tremendous competitors in New England vying for that championship. You don't want to miss that. We're also going to see Todd Sopel as he defends the No Limits title in an open challenge. The debut of Mike Russell as he takes on fabulous Johnny Vegas. Brett Domino will face DL Hurst in an NEPWA showcase match. Setherin versus the selfie-made man Vern Vicalo. Also appearing Ilya Markopoulos, Robo the Punjabi Lion, The Clinic Chris James, and many more. Tickets are just $10 general admission. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. with a bell time of 7. For more information, go to libertystateswrestling.com. And Troy, would it be too corny to say that there's things brewing in Brew City Wrestling?
Nothing's too corny when your event's named Fall Frenzy. On Friday, September 15th at the Columbus Club of West Dallas. Bell time is 7:30. Doors open at 6:45. Tickets are $20 reserved, front row. Make sure you get spit on by Sierra. $18 general admission at the door and $16 pre-sale at www.brewcitywrestling1.com. Tickets are on sale now. Then you can join us at the Slurp and Burp Funhouse after the show for a party celebration with the stars of Brew City Wrestling. Already booked, and I did not look to update this, so I'm sorry if there was something else booked. But so far, the Brew City Wrestling Women's Championship is on the line as Evil Sierra takes on Tess Valentine. And the main event, it's franchise versus franchise. As the BCW franchise, Evil Dis, as in dysfunction, that's how it's called, will take on the franchise Shane Douglas. More info coming soon. Follow them on Twitter at BCW Fandemonium or at BCW1 for more information, or go to BrewCityWrestling1.com for your ticket and information.
All right. Jason? And if you're also in the New England area, I want to encourage you to come out to the Boys and Girls Club of Lower Merrimack Valley on September 30th as Atlantic Pro Wrestling returns with another great night of wrestling action. Our main event, the annual Gil Bonk Invitational 20-man Wrestle Royal. 2 participants start every 90 seconds. Another competitor enters the ring. Eliminations can happen via pinfall submission or by tossing someone over the top rope and both feet hitting the floor. The winner of the Wrestle Royal receives a championship match of their choosing at any time they wish. We did have big news this week as we announced the first 2 participants as Dynamite Danny Miles makes his APW return for the Wrestle Royal and the APW debut of Robo the Punjabi Lion. All of that September 30th, Atlantic Pro Wrestling, the Boys and Girls Club of Lower Merrimack Valley. Then, if you're interested in some other New England wrestling, you can go to check out Lucky Pro Wrestling as they present, hey, get this, Fall Frenzy. And quick shout out to our boy Chris over at Lucky Pro, who pointed out that they've had this name for 4 years. So he wants to point out they're not borrowing it from any other promotions. That is Saturday, October 14th from the Elks Hall in Clinton, Massachusetts. Already signed for the first time ever. The LPW tag titles will be on the line in the last team standing match. The Aristocrats, Tomahawk and Zachary Pierre Ballou, defend against the Heavy Hitters. And this is the Hitters' last chance at the tag team gold in LPW. If they lose this match, they will never, ever, 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 ever get another title shot again. Riot Kellen Thomas is going to take on Big Jim Anderson. Also announced Brickmass Stone going to defend the Hard Knocks Championship against Cam Zagami, and the return of the fan favorite Halloween Battle Royal. Davienne will defend her LPW Women's Championship in a 4-way against Delmi Exo, Adira, and Isana. And lastly, but not least, of course, Tyler Nitro will take on Machado, accompanied by Taylor Hendricks in a National Pro Wrestling League showcase match. Troy, I know you're a big fan of Taylor Hendricks.
I'm a big fan of gigantic tits.
Okay, well, I guess I could not worry about trying to get her on the rundown.
Aw. I'm sorry. She wouldn't have done it anyways.
She might have.
That does it for this, the rundown. Thursday, September 7th, 2017. It has been 64 days since Ethan Carter III won the Impact Global Championship.
Are you shitting me with this?
Go to audibletrial.com/rundown for a free audiobook and a 30-day free trial. Go pick up, I don't know, Chris Jericho's book? Sure. Follow us on Twitter at Rundown Podcast.
Do you know if they have Chasing Distant Horizons on Audible?
Sadly, they do not, because I don't even know why I bother saying anything to Andy, because he doesn't listen to the show. But anybody, reach out to Andrew Lister and tell him, send Troy a copy of Chasing Distant Horizons so he can record that shit and we can provide an audiobook so that we can actually plug his audiobook in this little section of the closing.
Didn't you already have a copy of it? Weren't you the one that had like a hard copy?
It was next to my toilet and got water on it.
Oh, happens.
Yeah. Email the show, because nobody does, rundownwrestling@gmail.com. Leave us a voicemail, 617-863-6967. That's rundown, or that's 61 rundown 7. Be like Sal.
Said no one ever.
Follow us on Facebook.
By the way, Sal, judging by the score of the game, you'd have been better off just coming on the show this week. I'm just saying.
Yeah, fuck the Patriots. Facebook.com/Rundown Wrestling, YouTube.com/Rundown Podcast to see all the archives and to never see us again on there. PayPal.me.
Temporarily, we might be back. You never know.
That's true. That's true.
Nobody needs to look at our faces anyway. Let's be honest.
That is true. Go to PayPal.me/Rundown Wrestling and donate 2 cents, and make sure your note says, "Pay those motherfuckers who are actually on the show." Hey, Jason.
Yes.
Considering your issues that you were having last week,
Yes.
how's your asshole?
Oh, my asshole's feeling much, much better this week. And you know what helped me the most, Troy?
What's that?
I went to tinyurl.com/Distant Horizons and ordered my copy of Chasing Distant Horizons. Cleared me right out. Everything's A-okay now.
See, that was my issue, because I was going to bigdog.com and it wasn't working out that well.
What do you get if you go to bigdog.com? I'm curious.
Let's find out. Let's take a break on what we're doing and go www.big.
All right, well, you look that up. Allow me to do this. You should check out all of our sister shows on the Questionable Endeavor Network, including Shadowvane at shadowvane.net. Also, patreon.com/Shadowvane. Tuning Japanese on iTunes and Stitcher. Patreon.com/Tuning Japanese. You know, these fuckers can tell everyone else where to donate on their own show to their show. We'll just plug the shows. Raw Attitude Podcast on iTunes and Stitcher and SoundCloud. Troy's Baby, the Slasher Sanitarium on iTunes and Stitcher. New episodes coming
Hopefully next week.
Okay. Looking forward to that. He has Patreon at patreon.com/Slasher Podcast. The Pwn Stars on iTunes and Podomatic. The New Blood Rising on iTunes. Words of Geekdom on iTunes and Stitcher. You can follow the network on Twitter at QuestNNetwork or visit QuestNNetwork.com. We encourage you to go check out our Discord channel and listen to our friends, the Kingpin Brian Malonis and Mike Crockett on the Wrestling Podcast About Nothing twice a week. You can check them out on Facebook.com/the WPAN. Did an episode to drop this week regarding the worst tag teams of all time. I'm looking forward to hearing who they picked for that list, because there are a couple suggestions I could drop in there. Search for us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean, or Podomatic under the Rundown Wrestling Podcast. We have some iTunes reviews. We'd like it if you would give us some 5 stars, preferably, because it helps other people find the show.
So if you go to bigdog.com, it redirects you to bigdogs.com, which is the Big Dog Sportswear company. So
Oh, that's sort of a letdown.
yeah, not as the shirts are kind of nice though, and they have boxer shorts that say Big Bowls on it.
There you go. Well, that's
So-
sort of big dog in it. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although we did say Roman Reigns has no balls, so
Well, no, Cena said that.
oh, that's true. That's true. But we reiterated it. Thanks to
Didn't agree with it though.
That's true. That's true. We didn't agree, but we definitely brought it to light. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to Jason's lovely wife for saying the show is shit.
Well, you know what, Troy? If this ends up being our last live broadcast on Twitter, on Facebook, I'm sorry, let's just take a quick second to thank the people throughout the history that have contributed on the side that I can think of off the top of my head. Kenny Lockhart, Mike Smathers, my wife, of course, my son Jackson has been on there. We've had Chris from LPW's popped in there. We've had, I'm forgetting a bunch of people. Kogos Sean.
Kogo Sean, we've had my cousin, we've had myself, we've had you. We have had some random people. We have had some spam. We have had some foreigners. We've had some people who didn't know what the fuck they were getting into and just randomly ran across us.
I forgot about the spam bot. Yeah, that's right. Sup, dog?
Yeah. We have had a tremendous amount of different listeners, some of which started off as commenters on the side and then joined the show, such as myself, such as Sal. And yeah, if you
actually join the show, it sort of feels like he's not frequent enough to be qualified as joined the show.
I guess you could put it that way. But yeah, thank you to everybody who ever contributed to the Rundown Wrestling Podcast. And if you want to contribute, please, like I said, don't go to YouTube. Go instead to questionnetwork.com or to our Facebook or Twitter or email us and be a part of the show.
And just subscribe and download the podcast. Hell, honestly, even if you don't listen to it, the download numbers still help us. So just download it and then delete it if you prefer. To be completely honest, we'd love for you to listen to it, but at least help us out with a download.
Very much so. Very much so. Well, thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Troy. And I'm looking forward to next week going audio only. So, nobody has to look at us.
There you go. There you go.
I won't feel the need. I can actually do the whole thing in my underwear and nobody will notice.
Sweet. Awesome. Thanks
big
to
dog
Ray.
in it.
There, you big dog in it. Yep. Thanks to Ray Williams for the logo. Thanks to Jason for our new theme song. And next week, we'll bring you a review of the Mae Young Classic as well as a review of the Week in Wrestling.
Didn't we already do that this week?
The Mae Young Classic finale.
Okay. Well, you have to actually watch the other Mae Young Classics first.
I will.
You got 1 week to get like all 8 episodes plus the finals down. You kind of put yourself in a tough spot here, Troy.
Yeah, I fast forward a lot.
How do you do that while you're jerking off?
You only need one hand to jerk off.
Yeah, but how do you get any rhythm going while you're fast forwarding?
Yeah, I just gotta. As soon as I see Kairi Sane's entrance, I'll stop.
You like pirates, do you?
I like ass pirates.
Okay. I feel like we learned something about you this week, Troy.
I feel like you learn something about me every week. And a lot of it is stuff that you probably don't want to know. See you next week, everybody.
See you next. Well, no, we won't see you next Thursday, but you can listen to us next Friday. I have to change that now.
That's
Shit.
true. Bye.
All right. All right. This is probably not going up till tomorrow because I don't know if I'm going to have it in me to do it tonight. We'll see. I do have Kareem Hunt in several fantasy leagues, and that makes me happy.
What do you do? Like rip off with 71 yard something?
Yeah.
I saw the notification.
And I think 3 touchdowns now.
Hmm.
It's a good thing to be the every down back for the Kansas City Chiefs.